Welcome to the Brightstar Lifestyle Podcast, where we say yes to joy.
Good morning, Bright Stars. It's such a special guest that we have with us today in our podcast, Marihet Hammann. Marihet, welcome.
Thank you, Amanda. It's an absolute privilege to be here.
Thank you. Marihet, I am going to share a little bit about you with our viewers and listeners so that they can get to know you a bit before we start talking and asking other questions. Marihet Hammann is a CPE, that means Creative Possibility Expert, and she's got a company with the name Full Color Consultancy. Marihet is experienced as an educational consultant with a demonstrated history of working in the education, training, and development industry for the past 30 years. So we're talking about a lot of experience. Marihet is a qualified creativity and NLP coach. She's a professional entrepreneurial guide. She's a training provider and a brain practitioner. And if that is not a mouthful already, she specializes in the educational department. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mariet's family. She has been married for 24 years with Justin, and they are blessed with two sons. The oldest is Justin Jr., he's 23 years old now, and then the youngest is Robin, he's 19 years old. So she says, as a family, they enjoy meaningful conversations and quality time together. That already says a lot. Her own latest learning is a master's degree in visual arts education. Now, there's a lot of questions that I have just by sharing this background of Marihet. The first thing that I just also need to say is that Marihet is a Brightstar facilitator, and in the Brightstar family, we are privileged because she shares a lot of her wisdom with us as the facilitators and other Brightstars. Marihet, therefore, I think a very good question to start with is to say, would you share your life purpose with us?
Absolutely, Amanda. I think, especially in Brightstar, that is an important point of departure for all of us to know what God created us to be and our purpose that we fulfill in this life. I just want to take one step back a little bit and say that I also believe that God wired all of us to be passionate about specific topics in life. So it's things that we love, that we do, that feels as if the time is flying and we don't even realize that we are paying attention and doing those specific things. So in my case, it's, for instance, creativity, love of learning, psychological safety, appreciation of beauty and excellence, and then lastly, kind, playful spaces. Now, if you take those 5 things, my purpose then becomes blessing other people with my passion and being of service to others. And therefore, I'm like a kaleidoscope that holds the kaleidoscope up for others so that they see more of themselves, so that they can create a life and business that they love, as well as help educators actually, I think, become competent navigating this new digital world that we live in. So yeah, that's my purpose in life.
Whenever I see you or I think of you, I see colors. So colors and the kaleidoscope work so well together. So thank you for visibly showing that you are living your purpose. That definitely brings me to the studies that you recently completed. And I cannot hide it to say that I'm very curious to hear a little bit more about what you've learned, what you've discovered, and what the focus was with the topic of visual learning and how creativity connects with us. So you can tell us what the title was exactly and what it is all about.
Beautiful, thank you. So obviously, because love of learning is part of my purpose and passion, extending that into my own life and always being learning, I decided to be curious about where we found ourselves during COVID, and how people, especially creativity educators, transitioned into this digital era. And the first thing that we all know in academic writing, you have to have like a more philosophical title. So the actual philosophical title is Investigating Creativity Educators' Transition into the Digital Era. And for me, it was important to then distinguish the concept of creativity between creative education and educating for creativity. And there's a difference between the two in the methodology and the approach that you use. So creative education is using approaches that is innovative and interesting so that it actually enhances the learning. But educating for creativity empowers the individual to actually think and behave more creatively in all aspects of their life. So that brings me to a creativity educator could be a Brightstar facilitator that makes the decision whether they want to use more creative approaches to make the learning more effective, or whether they want to empower the people that they are blessed with to transform and impact their lives so that they can themselves be empowered to create a different reality in life for themselves, and think differently, think and behave more creatively, and so forth. So that was the foundation. And then I realized that we live currently, especially just after COVID as well, in a hyper-connected, globalized digital world. And we can see it with this artificial intelligence that is rapidly changing on a weekly basis. So I was curious to see how these creativity educators adjusted with their sense of self, as well as their expression of how they were of service to others in the education and learning environment. So specifically, I looked at their ability to change. So they change adaptability, their thinking preference, whether that had an impact in how they then came up with creative solutions during COVID as well as currently. And then lastly, whether they applied self-directed learning. Now, self-directed learning is basically lifelong learning or adult learning. And what that implies is that we as adults choose what we want to learn and be educated about, depending on what we find meaningful, significant, and of value to us, either in our life or in our business. So an interesting finding was of the study that even though adults were self-directed, the rapidness of the change and the expectations and giving the ball to somebody fully in their self-directed learning created a lot of overwhelm and chaos, because now you didn't have the structure or the foundation of saying, I have enough time, I have enough choice, I can have the luxury of taking my time to make the decisions. It was rapid and fast paced. So a lot of people actually experienced digital turmoil of, here's all this information, I don't know what to do. So a lot of people did nothing. Some people really withdraw. Others experienced some mental challenges during the time as well. And the result of that was people started questioning their sense of self, their belonging, their place in the world, their significant meaning and contribution that they make. With what they knew before COVID and now after COVID looks a little bit different. And at the end, the outcome was also that we don't need to think outside the box anymore. We need a safe container of a box, but we need to think in a different box. In other words, we need to redefine who we are, that sense of self, and really know how we can self-direct and make a moral and ethical choices for ourselves in how we service and live our purpose as well. And especially because there's a shift in sense of self as part of the collective of this hyper-connected digital global citizenship that exists. I mean, we can hop on a call with anybody in the world, which means we're exposed to their politics, their economics, their religion, their culture, and so forth. And if you're not standing strong in your faith, in your knowledge, in who you are, it does become, I think, a little bit concerning. And I think that's where Brightstar programs fits in beautifully as well as a solution, as well as some of the work that I do, is just to provide a safe space for people to come and explore again together and say, your basics always stays the same. You'll always have all the sides of a box. The box might just look a little different. Maybe it's a different design or a different color. But your sense of self in that collectedness of this hyper-connected world will ask you to upskill a certain way. It will ask you to have a creative mind shift. It will also ask you to make use of strong networked connections in which you then can create safe, psychological safety, but also your values, your passion, and your purpose can align them in that collective. So that was the first outcome that I saw, that you need to know who you are. Secondly, how you do it. So how you do it is you have to ensure that there's psychological safety in your collective, wherever you connect, whether it's in person or then online. And why is that important? Because remember, psychological safety means you feel comfortable enough for risk-taking, to fail forward, to take some chances, to ask the important questions, and to say no as well if your boundaries feel a little bit perturbed, in that environment. So when that psychological safety is there and you feel comfortable to take risks, share, communicate authentically, then you are more comfortable and able to stretch beyond your comfort zone. And that is important, because we cannot operate in a rapidly changing digital world if we stay in our comfort zone, which is that same box, or sometimes outside the box, and then we feel lost. So that's how we do it. We meet the demands of a rapidly changing digital world with a sense of psychologically safe belonging in a collective with knowing ourselves well. And then lastly, who do we connect with? It needs to be others that can self-manage themselves, that have a creative mindset, that has 21st century digital skills, and lastly, which people that don't have a fear of failure, that really welcome that in a safe environment and encourages the difficult conversations as well. So that literally was what the study was about. I hope it makes sense to you, that we can apply this, actually taking those three things, who you are, how you do it, and who you connect with, into any area of your life. So whatever your purpose is in life, if you ask those three questions, it's so important in this day and age to know how you stand in your power, what is important to you, what God made you for, and this purpose to live that out, how you then do it, and then with who you do it.
Yeah, it is amazing. I always tell my husband when he would study further, you are welcome to keep on studying as long as you can use what you are learning. And I think maybe I can ask a last question, and that would be, I know that you are sharing this with a lot of people because you're in education, you are facilitating. How would you say did that change your anything that you are facilitating at this moment? So I can just think that there must have been a lot of decisions that you made for yourself while doing these studies, and then so maybe you can share that and how it's overflowing in your daily life using this amazing new discoveries.
That's a wonderful question, Amanda. So for me, I realized that it's in creativity, they talk about divergent thinking and convergent thinking. So this studies for me was like divergent thinking. It was a lot of information And it was important in order to apply it to my life to go to convergent thinking and get a little bit more focused. So if I can answer all of those philosophical, information into a practical answer, I realized that we all live on a line, and we have a above the line potentiality and a below the line of procrastination, holding ourselves back and so forth. For me, it was as simple as that. So wherever I find myself with who I am, how I do it, and then with whom I do it, I just check in. Where do I sit on that line? Am I currently feeling that I'm above the line of living my purpose and my passion? And can I be authentic there? Or do I need to say no because I'm currently now operating below the line of my aligned purpose and passion? So to give you an example of that, I was asked to go and present facilitation at a school. My passion is teachers, so all educators are teachers, lecturers, trainers, facilitators, and so forth. But the opportunity arose to actually work with the children. And instead of me going below the line, because I love education, but my ideal people that I connect with is not children, it's not youth. So instead of me saying yes, because I know that that will take me below the line and it will not keep me as passionate, which rubs off without us having to say much. So I referred that client to a colleague of mine who could then present, because that's her above the line, to actually go and apply what she loves, what she's passionate about. So I think that is how I applied those that you connect with. Have your, I think it's like a network of the inner circle that you know shares the same values, the drive, a godly worldview, so that it is easy for you when you navigate your life to not leave people high and dry, because that's what we have to do in life, is make a difference in other people's life, impact their life positively. So when somebody crosses your path, I'm a firm believer, you can't let them hang. You need to have that important conversation and be able to guide them into the right direction or introduce them to the correct person. So that's how I'm applying, I think, my studies now. I must just warn you, I am currently reviewing my doctorate degree because I'm curious about the artificial intelligence and human creativity, and that space that those two meet and what happens in there with the person when they use artificial intelligence with their human creativity.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that also, because I would like to ask you to share with us where people can connect with you. But now I know below the line will definitely be that you don't have the time for everyone that you can talk to. Do you have a website where they can go and have a look and get some more information? And if they would connect with you, can they go through the website or email address? What's the best way to connect with you?
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. So, yes, we have a website. So it's www.infullcolor.org. O-R-G. So we'll just put that on the screen as well. And I just want to say, even though I don't work with everybody, we do have other people that love the people that we work with. So for those people that are seeing something that can be of service to someone that they love, please feel free to refer them to this video and make contact. At the end of the day, even if it's not a direct client, we are humans after all, and it is in the conversations that we create significant meaning and just beauty for ourselves as human beings to live our purpose. So yes.
Thank you for being generous with who you are, what you have to offer, and that you are also generous in your connections of taking hands, working with others. And you are definitely the beauty and creativity and innovation are definitely flowing from you, and it's affecting a lot of people's and impacting a lot of people's lives. Thank you, Marihet. It was a pure pleasure to have this conversation.
Thank you, Amanda. It was really such a beautiful conversation with you, and you make it easy to be generous because remember, you holding up the mirror of generosity. So thank you to you and your beautiful business that you hold space for all of us as well.
Thank you. Have a good day, all bright stars.
Thank you for joining us today. You can visit us at www.brightstarlifestyle.co.za. Until we see you next time, keep on shining.